because Robert said we save best for the last. I'm not sure whether that's true or not. Last but not least, so I'm an interpreter. I've been working as an interpreter for 20 years. So naturally, my project is about interpretation. I chose that subject because that's the subject that I know best, and I'm a subject matter expert myself, so I thought it would be easier for me to develop the project. Today I'm going to describe about the project a little, and then demonstrate, and then I will take your question. So before I describe the project, I will briefly tell you about the common misunderstanding among people about interpreting, which is they think that when they speak two languages perfectly, they understand, they speak and read perfectly, they can interpret very well, which is really not true. So it's as if you believe that, it's as if you have arms and legs, then you can do an acrobat move like this, which is not true. So for those who are curious, this is me. I'm kidding.
That's how me.
In order to interpret really well, you have to develop some basic skills. So my project is about not teaching really interpreting between the two languages. It's monolingual exercise. So I teach some basic skills to help learners acquire some basic skills for interpreting. So because I've been teaching interpreting, what we do at the beginning of the semester is to teach those basic skills to students before actually ask them perform interpreting. So these are I included 4 modules in my project. The first one is memory retention. So memory is really important when interpreting. You have to be able to memorize what the speaker said. Even if you take notes, you have to understand, and you should be able to recall the passages easily. And also paraphrasing skill is really important because, for example, when you interpret from English to Spanish and you do not know the word, for example, the honeymoon in Spanish, you should be able to paraphrase it to convey the message in using different words, like the trip the newlyweds go or something like that after the wedding. So paraphrasing skill and also note taking. You have to take notes when performing consecutive interpreting, and you do not want to write everything the speaker says. There is some strategies to very smart note taking, and also basics of interpreting. So there are 4 modules. And a little background about it is that about 3-4 years ago, the DLI asked the MIS faculty, the TNI faculty, to develop some interpreting and translation curriculum so that the DLI students can learn. So I participated in the project, and I developed a curriculum, interpreting curriculum, and I pilot teach the DLI students for a week. And that experience was really valuable because I found out many problems. First one is shy learners. I found out that DLI students are not ready for interpreting actually. They know the languages, but they are not ready to perform interpreting. So basically they are basic learner beginners, and they are really shy. So they really don't want to do some verbal activity in front of the people. One of my students even told me that being pulled out to the front of the class and render interpretation when they didn't understand anything was like a torture. They think that it was even worse than waterboarding. So it's really bad for shy learners. Shy learners need to have some form of exercise so they can learn on their own, they can build their own confidence. And another problem is that interpretation requires heavy human intervention because it is not about knowledge, it's about performance. So you need to usually have a practice partner who can read you a text to interpret, or who can provide feedback after you interpret. Something's wrong, you missed this, you omitted that. But well, I developed a module that can replace human practice partner. And the last one is that DLI was planning to use their own language instructors to provide interpretation training to their students. But I talked with many instructors. They felt kind of overwhelmed, burdened, because they do not know much about the subject and they are supposed to teach interpreting to their students. So I thought these learning modules can be valuable resources to help instructors teach the course. So my solution is web-based interpretation learning modules to teach the basic skills. So it benefits shy learners. It can be an alternative to human practice partner and useful teaching resources to DLI instructors. So the target audience can be any beginner interpreting trainings, but the specific target I had in mind when I was developing these modules were DLI military linguists. They can be asked to perform interpretation in the field. And instructional theory I used was Gainey's 9 events of learning, as many of my classmates used it. Of course, I didn't use all the 9 events, all the elements. I used a little bit of that. I made sure to include some element that can grab learners' attention at the beginning of instruction. Also, I used Merrill's first principle of instruction, especially I made sure to provide demonstration to students before I asked you to perform something. So I demonstrate something. So students look at that and they know what they are supposed to do. So basically it's about scaffolding, as Chuan said. It's really great. So I used many practice items in my modules. Those items are organized in a way that progress from simple tasks to a difficult level task. So each student can have the sense of achievement and can build their own confidence. And they feel kind of guided through the instruction all through. So it's not like they were thrown into the ocean and swim. It's guided. So now I'm going to demonstrate because it's important to see. So this is my capstone website, and it has the introduction video. And the learning modules, I have 4 learning modules here. So I'm going to show you 2 of my modules briefly. Memory exercise. Consecutive interpreting learning module. I hate to listen to my own voice. And I'm going to proceed to page 5. So
when the air is hot.
What I asked students to do is I play the audio so that they can listen the story or little passage, and then they are asked to recall the story without taking notes, purely from their memory. So I give them some demonstration first.
Highlighted in pink are the
And then I give them text. So they are supposed to record their voice and audio, and they compare their audio against the text and see whether they've done right or
key
not.
ingredients. In yellow are the numbers, and in green are some details. Playback room. Excellent. Are you ready for more? Now it's time to practice on your own. There are 4 exercises.
So here are some multiple items. So level 1 has 2 items, level 2 has 2 items. So you can choose any level you want, and it has 2 items. So it reads, the audio plays and it reads your story, and then you are supposed to memorize and recall it from memory. So I'm going to play Clean Hands Prevent the Flu, and maybe I will ask one of you to remember and recall from your memory. So
try to avoid sneezing into your hand because you just contaminate them and then spread those germs everywhere. Focus on sneezing into your elbow, like this, And then you don't contaminate your hands. Turn on the water, wet your hands, apply a good amount of soap and lather up, and then focus on washing your hands for about 20 seconds, about the time it takes to sit.
Okay, so when it is over, the students can click next, and then it gives you the reminder because it is
Let's
important.
check your understanding. Please click the.
It's important for you to record your voice and always compare whether you did correct or not. So I always remind the students to have the recording device ready and record your output. And there's a quiz. So, and submit. That's great. And you can move on to the next module. So this was the demonstration of interpretation learning module. And I did some assessment. I used 6 prospective learners. 2 of them were MLIs at DLI, military language instructors. 3 Carmel High School parents that I know personally, and 1 NEES student. And the main method of assessment was observation. So I took each individual in one session, and it took about an hour and a half to observe the individual, how he or she interact with the module. And I just wrote down the notes, what problems the learner was facing, what issues were arising, and also performed pre and post test. I used some 2 different passages because, let me show you. These are the passages for audio. I was displaying the audio of these 2 passages before the instruction and after instruction. I made sure that I didn't want to use the same passage twice because it will distort the result. If you listen to the same passage twice, you will be able to recall better. So I used 2 different passages, but made sure they are the same length, the 211 words, 209 words, the same difficulty level, and also the same number of meaning units. I also used grading rubric to make sure that my evaluation is reliable and also very objective. And the result was quite significant. It showed significant learning gains before and after the instruction. And I also performed t-test. It also showed that the t-value showed that there was a significant learning gains before and after the instruction. The biggest challenge was, for me, was how to test learning within the module, because as I said earlier, it is not about testing your knowledge, but it is about your performance. So the biggest headache to me was how to measure their performance within the module. So I incorporated some multiple choice items as well, but for example, I'm going to show you
consecutive interpreting learning module.
So here, I also
Use
have
synonyms.
some couple of the menus to choose from how to paraphrase. So after
For example,
instructions,
how can you paraphrase? Here are the possible paraphrased versions created by, for example, how can you paraphrase the following sentence using synonyms? Here are the possible paraphrased versions created by replacing each word with its synonyms. Let's check your understanding. Please click the button below.
so instead of giving them right or correct or incorrect feedback, I just gave them the possible answers. So the learners can compare their answers to the not best answers, but some possible answers. Also, here can, for example, write down how to paraphrase. And submit.
Compare your answer with the possible paraphrases here.
So it's not like just giving you correct or incorrect feedback. It gives you the possible answers so that learners can always compare. So my biggest challenge was how to incorporate testing in my modules. And the future step will be to practice, add more practice items. Currently it has only limited number, and also develop better testing method. I'm going to be more creative how to provide feedback to learners. Maybe I was thinking about providing a link to or email instructors their audio or something. That sort of thing can be more valuable to learners. And advice for next cohort is that choose your project carefully. Well, Robert previously said that choose your project and believe in yourself, but I was just continuously questioning myself whether it is a good project or not, because I had no idea how to provide the test. But I believed in my project because there is a need. Even if there's no way to test the learners within the module, it is still valuable. And also do not be too ambitious, because, well, I learned a lot because it requires a lot of technological skills. Not only Captivate, I learned a lot about Dreamweaver. I had to learn about Photoshop, so many things. But originally I envisioned to make 9 modules, but I just scaled them down to 4. And I think it's better to have the lower number of modules and focus more on each module to make more quality ones. And thank you to all of the professor, faculty, especially my advisor, Dr. Sue, Nancy, Troy, Eric, Karen, Ben, everyone is immensely thankful. And also, I thank my teammates as well as my classmates of the Team Sunshine was really supportive. They are not here, but I'd like to thank you. So that's it.